Hello and welcome to episode number 17, aka episode number Kevin De Bruyne of Kit Room. I'm going to try and think of shirt numbers for each episode now. 18, that's going to be Fabian Delph. Because they've got to be City players, haven't they? Thank you for joining me. And again, Happy New Year. The first episode of this year was out last week. I'm going to stop rambling and chuck it over to the guest because I will keep talking until you all get bored. But again, thank you for joining me. And guest, hello, who are you?
Hello there. I am Christopher Matic, also known as TFSG Chat Shirt on Twitter, YouTube, and parts beyond.
He's that guy.
I'm that guy. Oh, I am that guy. Apparently.
That football shirt guy. That football shirt guy. What are you wearing?
Technically, I'm not. That's the thing. I'm not. I'm TFSG because.
Oh.
Sorry, unprofessional. Drinking from my Harry Potter mug.
That's fine.
Doing this. It's a little bit behind the scenes. So yeah, I originally went up as that football shirt guy because I live in a small kind of Cornish village, and I wear a lot of football shirts. So people just started to know me as, oh, he's that football shirt guy, because no one knows each other's names now. It's it's the 2020s. And so I kind of came up when I was going to, start doing all of this again. I went, oh, that football shirt guy, why not? And so I did all that and then went on. And then I instantly got called out by another that football shirt guy. It's like, what, bro? What? Like, didn't you know about me? And I was like, oh, sorry, I kind of didn't. But I'll change it because obviously I didn't want to step on that guy's toes. Like he's that football shirt guy. And so I shortened it down to TFSG. And that's the first of my boring stories. Good luck, listeners.
So that first off, thank you for correcting me because I didn't want any, legal proceedings to happen with me calling you the wrong name. Exactly. Luckily, no one took Kitted out before me, and I don't think I think there's one called Kitted Off, and I think we've only been mistaken once. But other than that,
since I've started, I've found that there's tons of football shirt guys, girls, people, footy shirt guy. But I have found one that's a Chris TFS shirts. And I was like, oh, that's a bit close, but he started before me, so I should probably just change my name.
Your legal name?
Yeah, I should change it. Although I didn't realise the whole chat shirt thing was going to go down as well as it did. So if I could, I should have actually just been Chris Chat Shirt.
Have you got any middle names?
I do. My middle name's actually Zoran. Zoran.
Ooh.
Because my heritage is from a lovely former country called Yugoslavia. So
very nice. My middle name's Vincent, but that's after my uncle.
Not after Vincent Company.
Sadly not. No. No. We're not that obsessed yet.
Yet.
Yeah, but baby Kevin will be running around. So, what are you wearing in the nicest way possible?
What's that? I'm wearing the Nike Italy 98 shirts that they wore with a badge, obviously, because they wear it with and without, depending on what day of the week it was. And I thought I should wear this because this is technically where it all began. The first football shirt that I can pinpoint the collection starting from. I went to a JJB Sports, I believe, with my dad just before my 18th birthday. And I think my dad didn't really know what to buy me. So he went, oh, you like football shirts? You want a football shirt? And I was like, oh, yeah, wicked. And we looked at, like you do in like the big retailers, had all the shirts outlined. And it was down between this, the Argentina home from the World Cup, or the Holland home. And I listened to my dad, and he went, oh, I think the Italy one's the nicest. And I went, okay, Dad.
Okay, Pops. No, my birthday is the end of this month, actually. And I've put together a little short list of shirts that I want. And I will send that round to people and be like, if it's sold out, it means someone else has either bought it or got it for me. So
yeah, I've got one of those lists as well.
But I'm currently wearing the Manchester City away 2011-12 shirt because it's this man's birthday today.
Pete Silver.
Of recording. Pete. The his lesser known brother David. But yeah, I didn't actually own a David Silva shirt until first lockdown of 16. I think it's Top Corner Shirts. I think that's the guy's name. He just messaged me. He was like, I'm getting this shirt. It's going to be online on soon. So I snapped it up fairly quickly, mainly because I had the third shirt from the first title winning season, which is this one. This season, sorry. But I wear it as a bed top. So all the Etihad Airways shirt is like, it's gone.
Is that the white one with the red and black stripe, or is that?
No. I think that was 2010. The one it's like a navy blue with a lighter blue.
I know the one you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, it mainly because of the material. It feels very like cotton and soft. It's very nice, so it makes a good bed top. But I won't be wearing this as a bed top because I don't want to ruin the name set.
The Lush shirt, I love that. That's one that's on my long list to get in the collection because I love it because obviously the stripes are vertical the whole way according to the cut, so that's why they look like hoops down the sleeves, and I love that bit of novelty, and also it's just a lovely red and black with the yellow detailing. It's just lush.
It's very, very tidy. So let's go into your early life. Let's get the therapy chair out. And how does that make you feel? Let me get my tweed blazer. But where did you grow up, and what was your introduction to football?
A little bit of a mongrel, as it were. Brought up in London, or kind of born in London, raised in London for a bit. Then kind of thanks to a parental divorce, it all became kind of moving around the country. So my first introduction to football, I suppose it is why I'm a Liverpool supporter, in that little hyperactive Chris, 7 years old in 1988, running around his grandparents' house, because they just gave me fizzy Tizer and, chocolate cake, so why wouldn't I do that? My nan, Nanny Bowden, as she was known, sat me down in front of the FA Cup final in '88, and she went, please, now as an adult, I'm sure she was like, please just watch this. Just please give me 10 minutes, please. And it was the 1988. Yeah, exactly. That came later. It was the Wimbledon-Liverpool FA Cup final. And, she would do the things that grandparents try and do. Ooh, what's your, oh, look at that. Look at the rosettes. Look at, who do you want to win? And at the time I just went red, because red was my favorite color back then. And obviously not knowing that they were, the elite team in the country at the time. I think that's the first time I kind of ever remember properly kind of football being a thing.
So from there, what do you remember your first game? Have you been to many? Obviously, moving around the country, did you have a chance to get to many?
My first game that I went to, because you kind of clued me into what some of the things you were going to ask, and it was a proper head scratch, because I was like, the first one I remember was going and see an under-18s game between England and Holland at Wembley in what would have been 94 or maybe 93. 90, sorry. About 1990. So I don't know who, I wish I had the match day program there, because it was probably actual legends playing there, but obviously they were all 16, 17 years old. But I actually asked my mum, and I said, did I get taken? My uncle Tony took me to go and see Brentford at Griffin Park in apparently 1989 against another team. No memories of it, but that's where it started.
I wonder if Gareth Barry would have been in that under-19 England squad, or would he have been a bit too old for that time? Because he's
Gareth Barry's been 40 for about 30 years, hasn't he?
Is he still playing?
He must be in some capacity. Has he ever not played? Do the Premier League just assume he's still playing and add numbers to the most capped Premier League player that's ever been?
This is where we're getting philosophical. When do you stop playing? Both mentally and physically. So you mentioned you got a kit for your 18th birthday. Did you get many other kits when you were a nipper?
So,
it's show and tell.
It's show and tell. This is the 2006 re-release when Liverpool re-signed with Adidas. But this was one that I remember wearing wearing out, as in, like, I remember the candy was picked apart, and but I remember, like, I definitely had this and the grey triangle nightmare kit from around that time. So I would wear, these were my kits, and I remember on FA Cup final day, what would have been 92, where Liverpool beat Sunderland. I got on a train with my mum. So I was 11 at this point. So it's pretty bad now I think back to it. Like, 11-year-old now is like pretty cool. They've got iPads and social media. Whereas me as an 11-year-old, I wore that top, the grey shorts from the away kit, and then one grey sock and one red sock.
Oh, no.
And, like, I'm glad no pictures exist. But yeah, no, I really only had that, and then the kind of mid-90s, I kind of didn't really enjoy football much, just because I was just a teenager who was just like, what's that? I don't know anything. But then when I kind of started to get a bit older, kind of 96, 97, Euro 96 really rekindled my love of football. And that's when I started to kind of go like, oh, I fancy shirts. And but it was only really in 98 that I started collecting them.
You missed the 94 World Cup. What's wrong with you?
I remember watching the 94 World Cup and going, oh, like, I'm watching the games, but just like not having any of the buzz, any of the hype. Like, I wish I could go back. Like, I wish I could go back now and like buy half a dozen of those kits at the time. But
my memory is pretty awful. The first World Cup I remember, in like a vast majority, is the 2010 South Africa one.
Oh, curse your youth!
Now, and obviously England weren't great. It wasn't really a fantastic tournament. All I remember is after school going to a pub with my stepdad to watch it there. To watch I think it was the England-Germany game. Watching it there. But I think I was more interested in the McCoys, to be honest.
2010 was a weird World Cup. Like, it kind of had like a big feel going into it. Like, it was like first African World Cup, and obviously South Africa.
Vuvuzelas.
Shall I get my asthma inhaler out and do some vuvuzelaing? With like, I think the novelty in the first game was like great, but then afterwards it was just like, oh, please, just let's make it stop.
Imagine if COVID was then and you can watch it with or without crowd noise.
Oh, that'd be amazing. But yeah, like 2010 was weird. Did you ever like take anything, or what? Like, do you have any memories of the 2010 World Cup, like moments?
Nah, I just remember watching the game. The Lampard goal that wasn't a goal.
Yeah.
And other than that, not really. I had a season ticket for Manchester City before then. I think I had my first season ticket was 2004-05.
Wow.
My first game was one of the first few at the Etihad, because, well, City Manchester Stadium. It was against either West Ham or the Villa. I can never remember. I just remember seeing claret and blue.
Claret and blue.
City won though, so that's all good. But then
that was back in the day where that wasn't a given.
Exactly. City had I had a season ticket in Darius Vassell and Trevor Sinclair with my heroes. Can you imagine that? And then due to, as you mentioned earlier, divorces and stuff, we didn't renew our tickets in like 2009-10, and then we won the FA Cup, and then we won the Premier League, and then it was just very hard to get a season ticket again. So I got my season ticket back 2015 was my first year, because it was annoying because I moved away from Cheshire to Birmingham for uni. So it was more in transport costs to get to games.
Obviously not. I don't want you to give away any private details, but what part of Cheshire did you grow up in?
So I was born in Rochdale, and then we moved to Kingsmead because my dad had a butcher's he still has it, in Sandyway, and then lived around Northwich, Kingsmead, Weaverham, and Middlewich for a bit.
Oh, right. I went to uni in Alsager.
Oh, okay.
Alsager.
Alsager.
Alsager. Yeah, I went to Manchester Met 20 years ago. And obviously, you sign up to go to Manchester Met, and then they're like, "Oh no, it's this little campus just outside of Manchester." 50 miles.
I mean, thank God it wasn't the Crew campus.
I went to the Crew campus once, and once was enough at that time. So that's where they all have to go now. Big up, Man Met.
Yeah,
out.
My sister went there. Now, before we go into Dreamland of Kits and Harry Potter, whether we touch on it or not, you didn't ask me to take all the questions, so I will quickly dance around it. 2020 was a fun year for everyone. Personally, it was several lockdowns, a redundancy, and being hit by a car. But your 2020 was a little bit different to everyone else's.
It was a little bit different, but I mean, I wasn't hit by a car.
That's true. I mean, I wasn't really hit. They clipped my ankle.
Oh, that's still a bit rough.
Yeah, it happened in September. September 13th. It was when I was walking home from work. I was due to do the morning shift, and I sent a message in the group chat being like, "Yeah, guys, been hit by a car, so I'm not going to be in next week."
Ankle, not car. Did it break your ankle or anything? Or
no break, no spray. Just a lot of bad swelling, and we think sprain. Yeah, so what was annoying was I got back to work November 1st, November 2nd, November 3rd, and then lockdown came November 4th.
Oh, no. Right,
so I had a fun year, but not as fun as yours.
Well, my fun 2020 actually started on December 30th, 2019. 2020 decided to just knock on my door a bit early. For those of you who don't know, we're talking that I've been being treated for rectal cancer in the past year, which for about a year was, I was putting it down to, was it like IBS or Crohn's disease, or but I went for a fun colonoscopy on December 30th and was told there and then by the colonoscopist, like, that horrible thing, where they drag you into the friends and family room and they're like, Mr. Matic, you've got cancer, and just freaked out. But I mean, I'm not trying to belittle it. I'm not trying to skirt the issue or anything. But after my initial scans, I kind of got told that it was very early stage 1. So they caught it really, really early. And the surgeon, very nice doctor called Dr. Gandhi. Shout out Dr. Gandhi. Basically was like, it's treatable and it's not terminal. And from there I kind of just viewed it as like a process, like a root canal, where it's like, I've got to go through all these terrible, horrible things, and it's been pretty rough, I'm not gonna lie. You might have just heard what sounds like a little farty pops from me. I actually have a colostomy bag, which not many people actually know. Because they basically had to do an op to let the area be a bit more dormant. So not too many people know I actually have a colostomy bag as well. Went through some radio and chemo, didn't lose my hair, had the op out on the 27th of July, that had the lump out then. And then I had a little bit more chemo in kind of October and November, just to kind of prevent it coming back as much as you can prevent it. But yeah, I don't want to kind of clip through it like it wasn't like a big deal. But like it was shocking, because 39, 40, you kind of don't think you're gonna get told that. But at the same time, I'd much rather have got told I had a treatable cancer 6 months before my 40th birthday than 6 months before my 80th. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you made it your bitch. I wanted to. When you said it, I've wanted to go back to it, and obviously because we both like jokes, I'm going to. When you said that 2020 knocked on early, you could say that 2020 it gave you a ring early, because yeah.
Yes, it could. And for those of you who watched my top 10 shirts of the year last year, I ended it with a rectal cancer pun that 2020 was my annus horribilis. which I mean, not only is that a reference to the Queen of about 25 years, but it's a nice Latin pun on my bum, which is a little rhyme.
That one did go over my head, I'm going to be honest.
But you need to know your royal history, man.
I'm so sorry. So let's move on to working life before kits, because although sadly kits aren't your full-time job, you are very active within the Twitter community, using your passion shirts, and it's where your comedy comes through. Your Twitter account was set up in 2020, October 2020. How was your experience on the Twitter community shirt community? Words. How was your time on the shirt community been?
How are the words? I've loved it. And I was on social media like about 5-6 years ago, but I was living my life through it. And, I was being a negative, bit of a negative Nancy of, posting inflammatory things that I know that some of my old school friends, college friends, random acquaintances would say something terrible back, and then I could be all like, well, how could you say that? Surely you've got to be more reasonable like me. And I it just wasn't good. I was, it was really bad. So I said, right, no more social media. And then when I was kind of coming up with, getting back into talking about football shirts, I obviously realized I'd have to go back on. And it's been much better this time because I think because I kind of am able to come along with videos and stuff like that, like I don't, and I'm not saying this about the community, I mean this in kind of just general Twitter, usage, is I think sometimes people on social media just need to, oh, I've got an opinion, I need to get my opinion out. Whereas a lot of the time I kind of go like, oh, I really want to say this. Oh, actually, I don't need to. Like, I just put a video up instead, But I've really loved it. And what I've really enjoyed is just feeling very welcomed by the community because, we are a niche group. But I really enjoy it. And I've started to make some good friends and acquaintances, coming up with weird stuff, Ollie. You know what I mean?
No idea. But we will get to that shortly.
Yeah. Well, don't call me shortly. There you go. There's some more comedy jobs. That's for Kit Spire if he listens. Kit Spire is always on at me about my crap dad jokes. And I've clearly proved him right.
When you mentioned about Twitter being just sharing your opinions, like if you have one, the drafts of my personal account are awful.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. I'm about to send it and I'm like, no, just save it to your drafts and give it 5 minutes.
I mean, then it's, it's nothing bad, nothing racist, of course. No, it's all either just bad football takes or reminding everyone that Cristiano Ronaldo's a rapist.
Hot take.
Hot take.
But yeah, but that is the sort of thing. My stuff's unfortunately political stuff, and I do occasionally let those slip out because I don't want to get into it too much because obviously we want to talk about shirts. But
you're an avid Tory, aren't you?
Blue, mate. I'm unfortunately one of those people possessed with a liberal delusion of that people should just really be nice to each other, and that maybe everyone should just be able to eat and have a roof over their head, and that's okay.
You're being far too unreasonable there.
I know. I don't want. But before everyone switches off with my unreasonable political opinions, I still do think that the rich should stay rich, just maybe a little less rich.
Now let eat the rich.
Well, I mean, look, that might be everyone's opinion towards the end of 2021 or in 2022. So let's roll with those punches.
I don't like that. I think it was Jeff Bezos or something like. If Jeff Bezos gave everyone on the planet £1 million, he'd still be richer than everyone else. It's like, just fucking do it. Just do it. Imagine how happy the world would be if everyone just got £1 million.
Look, I don't want to get into this because I literally spent an hour and a half with some of my students the other day while I was pontificating on this. But look, people who work more and, managers and CEOs and all that, yeah, they should get more because they've created businesses. Like, I get that. But at the same time, what if everyone just had a roof over their head and had enough food? Like, that means that they could actually focus on other things in their life to just be to be happier. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying like if you work loads and you create a big business and create stuff that sells loads, wicked, have tons of cash, you've earned it. But at the same time, I kind of go like, look, does Marcus Rashford is talking about feeding hungry kids. Like,
disgusting, isn't it?
That's balmy to me. Like, that we are needing a footballer to go, hang on, isn't this reasonable? And still people are like, no, it's not. How dare you?
Yeah, you say Roof. I say our Roof, comrade. So Chat Shirt, now partnered with Lord Subside. How did this series come about? And have I missed something from the before times? Because you've referenced Emo Chris and a few other little throwbacks, which have gone straight over my head. Have I missed an old format? Or
so I have put. Clearly, you've not watched all my videos, Ollie, which is very, very disappointing.
Who are you?
Who am I? Yeah. So I started talking about football shirts 5 years ago. It came about Christmas 2014, and I went. No, actually, Christmas 2013. Actually, in the build-up to the 2014 World Cup, they were releasing like tons of Nike and Adidas were dropping like all the home and away kits for like the World Cup, and I was on YouTube and I was like, I want to watch something. I want someone to talk about this. Like show me. I want it. I can't afford it. I can't afford a 50 quid football shirt right now. I want my fix. Show me the pretty kits, and no one was doing it. And so I, obviously just sat on it for close to a year, mulling it over. And then at the beginning of 2015, I was working for a YouTube-based Dutch company. And I'd learned tons of stuff about like social media and how to make YouTube videos. And I did like a little pilot, which is, it's about 10 minutes long. It's terrible now because I'm trying to be all like presenter Chris and hey. Got let into the National Football Museum to do it though. Like, so it had some nice backgrounds to it. It was really nice.
Got let in.
Yeah. And let in. And I just happened to send it to a certain classic football shirts company. And was just basically like, hey, this is kind of what I've done. Would you mind if I borrowed a shirt or two to talk about? And hey, maybe do you fancy partnering up? And I did that and I got employed by them for a Brian Clough length of time at Leeds United. So I think it was literally like 50 days. I helped set up their YouTube, and let's just say there was a bit of a difference of opinion about what those videos should do. And I left, and it was a little bit of a shame because I could kind of see the benefit of doing it kind of how I do it now, which is like you engage the community. I'll simplify it down, but me being a bit of a nerd about, a nerdy thing makes other nerds go, oh, I love it, right? Whereas I think Classic kind of needed it to be a more marketing tool of being able to sell.
They are casting a wide net, like what you do with your track shirt stuff and this really, it's very, very niche and targeted. Whereas class football shirts, I can see both sides because like we want to see that, and it'd be interesting for someone else who doesn't know that Brazil used to wear blue, or like it's getting some pub quiz questions.
I will never say that they don't know how to sell a football shirt. Like the two of them, I can't remember their names, unfortunately. Matt and
Doug and Matt.
Doug, that's it. And also, I want to say to Doug's younger brother, he was there at that time. I don't know if he's still there, and he was really kind of supportive because he'd done a business degree, and I think he kind of saw the path that I was trying to go down. But yeah, Doug and Matt, they know how to sell football shirts. Of course they do. Like, they started in their bedroom and now they have a giant warehouse in Manchester. Like, that's amazing. Like, I will never, ever criticize them for not knowing how to sell a football shirt. And trust me, the wages I earn at Classic were literally all thrown nearly enough back into the company because I'm like, oh, amazing, you've got that. I'll have that. But it was just, again, maybe comrade, the socially conscious part of me just went, and this is where Lord Subside, Jerry over at Subside, who's a lovely bloke, he kind of saw it. and I'm really pleased. And Tim and Joe, who I've dealt with a lot over at Subside, they kind of see it that, like, yeah, there is a sort of closed market of football shirt enthusiasts of, like, you know, we'll buy, you know, we're going to buy it anyway. You know, if we like it, we'll buy it. We don't really need to be sold it. But for me, it's like, there's a lot of people who are just kind of a bit fringy with it. You know, like I've got a friend, Bobby, who he just collects Panathinaikos shirts. And it's like, he did that because I think he went to Greece and he kind of fell in love with the green of Panathinaikos, and that's what he does. You know, that's great. And, you know, probably do a Panathinaikos shirt, chat shirt for him. It's his 40th coming up.
Saves off buying a present.
You know, I've seen a couple of cheap ones. Don't worry, I'm still fine. But for me, like, he's got in and he's kind of subscribed to my Patreon and stuff like that. And even though he likes Panathinaikos shirts, he's starting to be like, oh yeah, I quite like that other one. I quite like that other one. And it's like, for me, the whole thing is like, whether you're like massive into it, like, you know, you, me, you know, people who are like the hardcore. I don't even consider myself like the hardcore. Like, I'm the kind of, you know, big interest, as opposed to, you know, the people who are like, I've just got this shirt, I've got this shirt, I've got this shirt. But for me, it's like, if you just engage on something that you find passionate, then anyone who's passionate in that will be able to relate to it to some degree or not. And I love that I've got followers now who kind of get in touch with me and kind of like, just like the fact that I've kind of gone like, oh, I didn't realize about that. Oh, I didn't, you know, I don't necessarily know much more than anyone else, but the byproduct of that is that Subside, so I'm referencing one of the mannequins, that's why I'm pointing to there, that, you know, Subside just bung me some shirts, you know, and we talk about, you know, is there stuff that you like they've just got in, or is there stuff that they know is going to come up? And sometimes that doesn't always kind of cross over, so I ended up doing the Japanese stuff before they could actually put it out, which was, you know, fantastic for me. Other times, I think the one that really kind of landed brilliantly was the Brazil home shirt last year, where they'd got it a bit early. My pickup worked at just the right time. It went out on the day, and, you know, that's kind of how I hope it can kind of work moving forwards. But yeah, Subside are fantastic. No money exchanges hands. It's all just done on the kindness of, you know, they help me because as vast as my collection is, I'll run out. And at the same time, I can't afford new shirts every couple of days. So they get, you know, they bung me some new shirts, so I get to, you know, chat shirt.
Last two questions before we do jump into your shirts. Metaphorically, not literally. What is the end goal for chat shirt, if you have one, or is it just see where it goes?
It's see where it goes, because like I had this big plan, kind of, you know, when I you know, bent the knee to Lord Subside, as it were, which hasn't kind of gone to plan because COVID and, you know, cancer and lockdown, but also just engaging the community and actually enjoying seeing where it goes. Like, I've got an idea of I would like my Patreon to increase in size so that I get, you know, some more money from it, so that maybe means that my teaching changes. Although I actually love what I do. So, you know, champagne problem maybe in the future of being able to just chat shirt versus just teach film. But for right now, like, I just want to keep doing it. Like, it's just fun. And it's not like they're not going to release, you know, 4 shirts a season for every team. Liverpool 4th shirt. And obviously, like, I can only cover so many classics, you know, per week, per month. So, like, I think I would just like it to keep rolling, and as long as people are enjoying it, I'll keep doing it.
Fair. And I am enjoying it, I must say. My other question, do we mention Timmy?
That's why I want to carry on doing it, right? Because Timmy was born. Do your listeners know Timmy? Do we?
I assume we have the same audience.
echo chamber. So for those of you who are maybe, my family, who I will send this to, who don't know anything about Timmy, obviously I review my students. One or two of my students have found Timmy and they find it bloody hilarious, which is baffling to me because, I'm a 40-year-old man who teaches film and just babbles nonsense about football shirts, and the fact that people listen to that is still massively like novel to me. I'm like, when people are like, "Oh, Chris, I really respect your opinion," I'm like, "Really? Why? Like,
do you know who I am?"
Yeah, I'm just a nerd. But now, if you want my opinion on film, that's the one you should listen to. So there was the Puma Morocco that Subside let me kind of have a chat shirt with, and they gave me a big box of African shirts, and it was absolutely fantastic. The Ghana home one obviously stood out because it's just a friggin' mess. The Senegal one was one that I really, really loved. And then the Puma Morocco one, I'd always kind of liked the pictures, but then when I went to kind of do my research on it, there's just nothing on it, and like I do my research because obviously I want to be informed, but I also, you don't necessarily know where certain bits of patterning or, history have come from. And there was just nothing on it, not on the Puma website, not on the National Morocco website, nothing. And it was the only thing I could get was from Foti Headlines, which was that it was based on, it had a Moroccan design. And I was just, well researched. And I was just like, what am I going to do? And I was just having a chat with a few people kind of online, and it was like, yeah, it's just really kind of like basic design. Yeah. And one of them just said, and I can't even remember who it is, so if it's you, please, let me know. They just went, it's just like it was designed by a child. And that's why I went, oh my God, if they're going to act like it was designed like, if they're going to treat us like it was designed by a child, I'll do a review as if a child has reviewed it. And that's where Timmy came from, picked that name out of nowhere. And that's kind of around the time as well that you and I started to kind of interact a bit more. And I was loving your lockdown pictures, Ollie, because as I've said to you in the, as we've slid into each other's DMs, Ollie, the thing that I love about your pictures is that you commit to the bit. Like, you are not afraid to look utterly ridiculous. And that makes them even funnier, and just people were like, we want to see more of Timmy. And it just so happened that I was looking at one of your pictures and I was just like, hey, dude, like, should we just do this Timmy thing? And you were game for it. You and I share a lot of kind of similar humor stuff, like Auntie Donna, and absurdist sort of like humor. But that's what I really love, is that being part of this community means that we can go in that direction and just be like we've done 3 Timmy episodes. I doubt we'll do one this weekend, but maybe we will the weekend after. And it's just lots of fun to be able to kind of, just see where stuff goes. And like, we'll do Timmy. I know we said we'll do Timmy for as long as we find it funny.
Yeah. The reason the weird selfies came from, because everyone has, like, throughout lockdown, pretty much everyone was posting pictures. And like I was doing the normal ones at first. And it kind of not got a bit boring, but like everything on your timeline was beginning to be the same. And with the bad side of social media, people just weaponize anything you put out, whether you intend it or not. So if I make myself look stupid already, that takes it away from someone else.
Yeah,
which is one of the things I've done about it. Like, so for as much of a prat as I make myself look, I know people find it funny. I've gained a few people who follow me purely because of it.
Oh, I've seen some of your comments, dude. I know you've got quite the fan base.
Hi, Cheryl.
But that's what I love. But what I love about this community is that it's just so, like, Football Shirt Italia. I think he's brilliant, and I really love his collection. And, to do my best Rick Mann impression, he's an utter bastard with how good his collection is. I want to punch him in the face. But I love him to pieces because I love that he does his pictures in a certain way, and, like, social media is all just about having that moment where you go like, oh, I've got that. Oh, that's nice. Oh, I like that. And Football Shirt Italia just does that brilliantly. And then seeing your stuff, I was just like, that's hilarious, and like, it's just about finding what you like, with your kind of niche, I guess, and you doing the weird stuff just works. You know, you're very good at it.
Stop it. It's the nice thing anyone's ever said to me. So let's talk shirt or chat shirt. See what I did there. IP.
That's like what I do.
Intellectual. Oh no. So how many shirts roughly do you have? And you said before recording that you didn't record, you didn't count, but we'll just take a punt.
Let's take a punt. Let's say I'm busy looking at like a giant Tupperware, you know, like the giant, you know,
not a sandwich box.
A sandwich them all in. I'm going to say I think I've got about let's do a round figure. Let's say 100.
Take a punt. That's a good size. Any size is a good size.
But, you know, I say that like I can already see 30 shirts. Then I can see another 15 shirts in the ones that have just been washed. I know I've got 10 shirts there that I was using as example. So the when I did that thing about the Arsenal fan, you know, all my Liverpool shirts are still there because I just haven't been asked to move them. I know I've got about 10 in the wash. So yeah, I'm going to say 100, but yeah, it's like probably.
No one's going to ask you to do a stock take. You're fine. If you take a punt, that's fine. Do you have any themes running through your collection? Because your backdrop, there are a few Holy Grail shirts on there for a lot of people. But do you have any themes? Is it just shirts you like, designs you like, teams, or just whatever?
I would say I'm probably very kind of international focused. Like I do love like international shirts because first off, I'm a bit naughty and I don't often kind of say this, but I am one of those, I think sometimes sponsors ruin a shirt. So I know I've gone and said it. I think I've caused more disgust when I joked that I was a Tory. But yeah, just I find a lot of modern shirts, especially club shirts, are ruined by sponsors. And I know I'm a bit of a snob like that. But also I think, especially when it kind of comes to like the collection, like a lot of international shirts have those kind of like World Cup moments. And I still occasionally get the odd Liverpool shirt, but not probably as much as I could. But yeah, just Holland, Italy, Mexico shirts are the green, the orange, the blue. I just go nuts for them.
So what was it that got you into collecting?
I think it's weird because I was kind of talking with a student about this. Not that I was doing any prep or anything, but I was just casually mentioning it to a student in my morning lecture. I think what it was there's just something about, like when I was young, like after this, you know, watching Liverpool, I would sit and I would draw, you know, the players play, you know, like you draw like as a kid, like, oh, I'm drawing the football. But then I realized I started to draw the kits more than the action, and I would draw kits from other teams. And I think it's just like, I just like the patterning and the colors and like, you know, that's where it starts. And then as you get older, you start to, you know, appreciate, you know, like Mayan references and, you know, the Germany 90, obviously, it's not just because it's got an amazing representation of the German flag on there, but it's also, there's something iconic about that. Obviously them winning the World Cup, the fall of the Berlin Wall, you know, that kind of classic batch of players, and it all kind of ties itself together, you know. And I think as I get older with it, I certainly lean back towards the kind of more modern retro, you know, modern manufacturer, modern kind of aesthetic and feel, but with that kind of link to the kind of retro feel as well.
So I have this off to one side because I'm gonna get changed after this episode because I like to wear a shirt, a different one each episode. And is it along the kind of lines of that kind of modern retro?
Yeah, like that shirt didn't do much for me, I'm not going to lie, purely because it's 94 when I wasn't really into the football.
Okay.
So you know what I mean? Like it doesn't really, but I do like I appreciate when they take that retro feel and then apply it in a modern way. So it didn't do much for me, but I can see why people like it. You know, I don't think it's a bad shirt at all. I think it's a really lovely looking shirt. And it probably doesn't get featured nearly enough as it should on the shirt wall, but I've got the Belgium 2018 one, which is obviously based on the
82, I think, yeah.
And I love that. I love that they've gone, oh, look at the past. Here's how we can do it better in the future. But also just like first shirt of the year is the Adidas Originals AC Milan kind of release. And that's obviously a modern design, but they've done it in cream. They've kind of got a modern, aesthetic about it. But then they've kind of honoured the retro feel as well. So I think I blathered on about it in my top 10 about the Inter third shirt this year.
Yeah.
Like I like a crew neck, but how do I love a grey and black shirt? Like it should be boring, but just a different cut of it, I mean, my all-time kind of favourite looking shirts are the old kind of Victoriana ones, with like the big collars and like the buttons down the thing. And I fell in love with that based on a 442 article, which I actually found was Rob Warner, who's I follow, and I think he follows me now. I got put in touch with him by Tim at Subside, and it was just really weird to find that he did that article that inspired me to love those shirts, and now we kind of have the occasional conversation.
Yeah, so the original Kitted Out series, I don't think I've done an episode on that for about a year, because as you were saying about the Morocco shirt, them episodes require a lot of research. And like some kits just don't have stories behind the design or anything. It's just a fun design. And I could talk about the season that it was featured in, because it tends to be older kits, but there was nothing really that tickled my fancy. So that has been put on ice for a bit. Like I do have 2 episodes in mind to do. One is already half recorded, which would probably need to be re-recorded because a lot has changed since then. It was very current. It was on, I think I filmed it in August with Ollie Bayliss, and it was about coronavirus and non-league football. But obviously so much has changed since then, so I'm going to have to redo that. But I want to do more YouTube stuff, so I might put that onto one side and do a documentary of it instead, and then have that as a podcast as well. But I've lost my train of thought. I don't know. Oh, yeah, right. So, I did an episode on the Dortmund 1994 shirt. Mm-hmm. And I emailed Uli Hess, who wrote Tor and Building the Yellow Wall, and I had him on the podcast, spoke to him, and then he added me on Facebook. I was like, that's so weird.
Yeah. It's kind of bonkers, isn't it? Like just to, because again, I was mentioning this morning to a student that I teach film to HE students, and I do like a further education class as well, because I've been a filmmaker for like 20 years. So a lot of people just know me as that. So as I've been teaching film, the number of tortured metaphors I've done of like trying to link it to the shirt wall, because I just present it. I just, do all the online chats here because there's light and I can whack lights on if I need. And I was just, they were doing research this morning. So the nearest book I had, was that. And so I would do, like if I was doing your preliminary research, I might talk about this and one of them just mentioned like, oh, what book's that? And I just mentioned that John Devlin is obviously, one of the pinnacles of the football shirt community. His work is absolutely phenomenal. And I was like, oh, and he follows me on Twitter. And they went, oh, I bet you really geeked out on that, didn't you? And I went, I think you'll find, no, I totally fangirled. Like I fully fangirled with like, oh, thanks, John. Thanks for following me. It's really nice. Oh my God. I don't want to gush, but then I sent him like a 3-tweet thread where I just bloody wet.
Remember that actually.
Yeah.
No, I had John on the podcast very early on, actually. I didn't realize how influential he was in the whole community until afterwards. Same with, I did an episode on a World Cup shirt. I did the USA 1994 kits.
Oh, yeah.
And I spoke to Adam Hurry. And I had no idea how big he was in the football shirt. So because it used to go out on a team of John O'Shea's, and I got a text from the admin of the podcast. He was like, "How on earth did you get Adam Hurrey?" I was like, I just got him a message, like, who is he? And then I looked more into it. I was like, oh my god, like, okay. But the only other time where I have felt somewhat lightheaded about something that has happened was I did an episode on the City 1999 playoff final, Wembley Kappa shirt, and I went to Sheffield and interviewed Nicky Weaver for it, and I was meeting him at the Sheffield Wednesday training ground. But I got to Sheffield really early, so I decided to walk from Sheffield train station to Hillsborough and then their training ground.
Bit of a walk,
yeah. I mean, I'm a fast walker. It took me about half an hour, 45 minutes. But I didn't really know the distance. I was like, I mean, I've got so much time to spare, so I may as well, because I've got nothing else to do. I didn't have much money, so I couldn't really go shopping. But I went into a co-op. I bought like a bottle of Iron Brew because there was one around the corner from the shop, from the training ground. So I went there, got something quickly to eat, and then he called me to say, "Yeah, I'm ready." And I was like, "Nicky Weaver's calling me."
Okay, Mr. Weaver, I'll be right there. Guzzle, guzzle. I'm on my way.
Pretty much, yeah. I was like, "Oh, Mr. Weaver." So your shirts, obviously you have the backdrop there. I can see some very, very iconic ones. Do you have any others to the side to do a quick show and tell?
Oh, yes. He said.
All right, if not,
I'm mic'd up, and I'd have to drag stuff.
go off your wall. Go off your wall.
Right. I'll go with what's literally next to me. So, my Christmas present, which is the 2020 Italy home shirt, which I did kind of buy as a little tribute because I don't think I actually have any other Italy home shirts. I've got a lot of away shirts of Italy, but this was, this is this replacement, I feel.
I was about to say you're wearing one.
Yeah, I don't have any other Italy shirts because this one is, bobbly and been worn to death, and I've started to notice more, like the panel down the thing down the slide. It's got like a little kind of like the stitching's coming off, not because it's been mistreated, just because it's like 22 years old.
Yeah.
Liverpool Vapor. Let's see, what have I got? A rare one. See, in 2018, I ended up buying tons of shirts because I was like just working in London at a production company, and I just got a lot of shirts that year. So one that I got, which I don't wear a lot anymore, but one of the ones I really like is the USA one, and I this was one where I almost started this back up in 2018, based solely on the shirt because obviously it wasn't at the World Cup.
What year is that? 2018.
In 2018, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I should really talk about this because, people need to know. What else? What else do I have? Sorry, this is literally like Chris looks off camera, and it's weird. I've got little things that kind of mean a lot to me. Like, I don't necessarily kind of have a focus on my collection. I've started to become, I don't know, like almost autobiographical with like shirts I want, where I'll suddenly go, oh, that reminds me of a time or a certain feeling that I had. Like this one. I don't have many Milan shirts, if any, I don't think. But there's just something about when I saw this released a couple of years ago that was like, oh, that really reminds me of like Football Shirt Italia, not Football Shirt Italia, Gazzetta Football Italia. And then when I was, kind of late teens watching that, and then I would then see like the old footage of that, of like the 80s Italian shirts where I kind of like went, oh, they're really lush. And so it's kind of like, I've bought that because it's like a feeling more than or I've got to have that because it's, add it to a certain collection. And just shirts mean a lot to me. So I've currently got this one in my collection, which was given to me by Alan from Footy Kit Market. and I keep it close by, and I obviously wear it in some of my chat shirts. But this one means a lot to me, and I'm going to give it back, obviously. Maybe. No, I will. And it means a lot to me because this not only represents, you know, a kind of, you know, weird, wonderful Adidas shirt, but it's also like someone's entrusted me with it.
What is that shirt?
It's the 94 ref shirt.
It looked like a ref shirt. I thought it was like, I was very curious as to you wearing it. I was like, why are you wearing a referee shirt?
and that's where Footy Kit Market got in touch with me, and we're like, I love that Verdi one that you wear, and I made a joke in one of the things about how it stinks, and they were like, oh, you should really wear a ref shirt. I've got an Adidas one if you want to wear it. And I was like, okay, that's great if you're sure. And you know, it means a lot to me because it, like I say, it's like being entrusted by another member of the football shirt community to, you know, that they want to kind of loan me that just to make my stuff better, and that means a lot to me. And there's going to be a chat shirt on it at the end of January.
If anyone wants to give me free stuff, no. I've had my fair share. Thank you very much, guys. So, do you have an end goal with your collection? Is there a peak? What you're going to do with it when you feel it's collected?
I think with the constant release of them, I will always add. Like, I mean, I've got some people's like Ultimate Grail shirts. Although, what's that recreation? I want to replace it with a proper one. And I do believe that's the ABA re-release of it, not the actual 98 original. But I don't know. I don't know what an endpoint. I don't know what an endpoint can be beyond that. Maybe I'll just lose interest, which I can't see how, because there's always something new with it. I suppose, you know, I think if I ever buy a shirt for like £1,000, there will be warning bells in my head going, Chris, you need to rein it back in. But I don't know. Do you have an end with your collection?
I mean, so I am not that interested in newer shirts anymore. Yeah. So my two collections are going to be trying to get as many City shirts as I physically can get my hands on. So I will continue getting new City shirts. Obviously, that's a given. I've got the new third Paisley shirt. I got it for Christmas. It's amazing.
Oh, I saw.
But 90s Bundesliga, I definitely want to get as much of that as I can. But like, so there's so many designs out now. The Inter third shirt you mentioned earlier, the new M&M drop with all the South American shirts, all incredible shirts, and like, especially the South American ones, so difficult to come by and get an official version of. But they're not for me. I can appreciate that they're nice and people will buy them, and at that price, can you blame them? But it's probably going to have to be something very, very special for it to be a new shirt for me. So the Western United away shirt, that I got, that was because, I mean, it's very difficult to get hold of, but it's just so wild and out there. And some bigger shirts now are hard to come by. So you look at the Roma trio, all three kits last season, they were very difficult to get your hands on. But unless I go to a foreign game, which I'm planning on doing, and I will of course buy a shirt then, because it's going to be like a physical memory. But
well, like I say, it's like autobiographical, isn't it? Like, hang on just a second. I'm going to try to carry my thing I'm recording on. Hang on. So one of the ones that means a lot to me, that's not a lot to Timmy, by the way, is the Kit and Bone for the Kits for Meals, which, like, as I've said, I love Kit and Bone to pieces because, again, they were one of the kind of early backers of me. Like, they saw what I was doing and really supported me. And, like, you know, is it Liverpool Vapor quality? No, it's not. But what it means is so much more. And actually, you know, you going to see a game and getting a shirt either of that game or going into a shop, you know, and that shirt then represents that moment. Like I've started to realize a lot of my collection is starting to be based around that, where actually, this, I love the shirt, but actually it reminds me of this, which reminds me of my dad. Oh, he's still with me, by the way, it's not, but it's just that sort of like the autobiographicalness of, I've now got in 22 years after this one, I've now got a new one.
Yeah.
And, I'll probably have the 2040 Italy home shirt, that sort of thing. I think, I don't know if you found it in doing your podcast that, like, are many collectors kind of autobiographical, where
everyone's collections are unique, really. What they get, why they get. Some people just specific teams, some people specific leagues. People just get whatever they can get their hands on. Everyone has their own reasonings. Mine is personally, I just like the designs, and I like the designs of newer shirts. But I think I want to bolster my older shirt collection before I start to look more at newer shirts.
I kind of want to get a few Liverpool ones from the mid-90s that I realise I didn't get because I was like, oh, I'm not really into football at the minute. But actually, I think part of me kind of secretly was, but because Liverpool in the 90s were a bit terrible, I want to get like the 95 away, the white with the black sleeves and the garish green, because I think that's kind of, reminds me of teenage years. But for me, I would much rather get a shirt that, like, I was really proud to kind of be able to do a chat shirt on this to help that cause. And every time I look at this and I still wear it, it's not like I've just gone, oh, cool, wicked, another shirt. It's like I still wear this, and I wear this kind of more casually around the house. I wear this more than I've worn the Nigeria 2020. I've worn this more than I've actually worn my Liverpool Vapor. Like, and every time I see it, I kind of go, that was of a time that really matters to me, because I felt that, one, I was really lucky to get hold of it to chat shirt about it, but like, people responded well to it, and I believe it kind of aided their cause, and I was a minute part of that. But just to know that I was a part of that was really, like, it makes me feel good.
100%. And we also defeated the Tories. We have now come full circle. So I think it is time to knock it on its head. Thank you very much for joining me. Each episode, I like to get the guest to recommend a song, artist, or album, because football and music do go hand in hand. If anyone who listens to the TIFO football podcast will know, they've had a few bands on recently. But if you can think of something to recommend now, and do so. And this is where people get nervous because they're like, oh, I have to share my music taste.
No, I don't feel embarrassed by this at all, because I'm being a little bit of a basic bitch, as they might say, by going for a classic.
Taylor Swift.
It's obviously World in Motion by New Order. Purely because, for me, that is the older I get, the more I realise that we're the influence of the past, and really kind of, it sticks with us. And the fact that World in Motion still sticks with me like 30 plus years on, is it a great song? Maybe not, but it makes me remember Italia 90 as like a 10-year-old. And it makes me kind of, it's got an iconic shirt in it. It's got John Barnes' amazing line, the only way to beat them, get round the back, which, 2020 reminded me that, a lot of problems can come from round the back. And gotta end it with a rectal cancer pun, dude. I've got to. But yeah, either that or Vindaloo by Fat Les. Massively underrated song. Vindaloo is social commentary at its finest.
What happened to World Cup songs anyway? Before we answer that question, I will end it here and leave it on for people to ponder on. But Chris, thank you very, very much for joining me.
Thank you, Ollie. It's been great to chat to you. And again, just, I know we've kind of said it in DMs and stuff, but thank you for making me feel kind of welcome into football shirt community, and like thank you for what you do. Like you know, you make me laugh, and the fact that you're doing these podcasts, I haven't listened to nearly enough of them, and I'm very sorry. I will, but I have listened to some, and it's just great, you know, having on in the background as I've been doing my marking. So thank you for what you do, dude.
I mean, you're right to say I've not listened to any. I was like, that's fine. I
I'm not
haven't either.
It's like that joke. Sting, the music he makes. I've not really listened to it, but the fact he's doing that, I really support that.
Yeah, but if anyone would like to go follow Chris on his Twitter, his YouTube, and other platforms, they will be the top links in the description. So do be sure to give him a follow on both YouTube and podcast platforms. The descriptions are all the same. But thank you very much for joining us. I will be back next week. Chris will not be, but I will be. To talk about someone else's kit collection, who I know because I'll be recording it in 10 minutes, but it'll be out in about a week's time. Thank you very much for joining me. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.